Hello, friends.
Head coach and very rare.
I'm excited too.
It's already gotten to the
One more
players.
time, I can't.
No. I'll be the stoic one today.
No.
Oh, it's all right.
You didn't bang the table.
Does that count?
So you're excited for them?
Yeah, I mean, you prep all year, off season. It just feels like the waiting game forever, and finally get to the game prep and game planning and all that stuff. It is exciting because obviously you get the roster down, you know who you're going to be with. Obviously, it's a long year; some things can change, but it's just exciting to be able to get into a routine and focus on competing against somebody else for good now.
Vic, you're coming off career highs of yardage, touchdowns, and completion percentage. Going into year 2 with this organization, where do you feel you can be better? Where do you want to be better?
Yeah, I think consistent. Like we started out great last year. Obviously, we talked about the highs and lows that we endured last year. Just more consistent, I think. And I think this group is more than capable of that, of being extremely well coached, detailed throughout the year, and really keyed in on the details. So I think for me, just being more consistent. I say it all the time. My job is to put us in the best position to win. So for me, whether that's checking the right run plays, getting the ball out on time, being accurate. So for me, just more consistent overall.
How different does it feel going into week 1 this year compared to week 1 last year, just based on everything that's happened in the last 12 months?
Personally, obviously, it feels good to be with these guys and have known them for over a year now. You have the chemistry and all that, the camaraderie, everything. Everybody wants to talk about that. But for us, it's we know what type of group we have. We don't know exactly our identity scheme-wise yet. We have a pretty good idea, but we know who, mentally our identity is. We're a tough team that's going to play extremely hard and fast, and offensively, we want to be really physical. So it feels good to know that going into this and to try and go achieve that.
Baker, this is your first year going into a season as a dad. Can you talk about how your perspective has changed?
Yeah, obviously, life's a lot more than just football, but for me, setting a good example, and that's I try and do that each day in the building here of work ethic, being the same person each and every day, no matter what's going on. Everybody's got stuff going on outside of this buildings, but handling all that, handling my business, being a good role model, and obviously it's even bigger now because there'll be stories written and all that she'll look back on and be able to read down the road, which is really special. But for right now, it's about winning and doing my job at the highest level.
There's a picture that was captured of you and Kova on the sideline with Emily. And I know before you've looked over and seen Emily on the sideline, but what's it like now when you've got, a daughter who is very proud of her daddy, decked out in the red Bucs tutu. Just kind of what goes through your mind when you glance over and you see that?
I don't know where mom finds all this stuff, all the gear, but she does a really good job of dressing her up. No, it's just so special. And, we talked about it. There's a lot of Bucs guys that are new dads or new members of the families here. So it's awesome to look over the sideline and see, in the midst of that we're about to play a game, how serious that is, that you can stop and take a second for yourself, take a deep breath, and enjoy the family that you have and before you refocus up. So, yeah, it's awesome.
Vic, this is the second youngest team in the league. You've gone from one of the older teams now.
I don't know if they took out Mike and Levante's age from that, but
Apparently they're still hanging in
yeah,
there.
I know.
And Will Golston, believe it or not.
Yeah, Will too.
That being said, you've been on all kinds of teams, obviously, but what is it about youth sometimes, the good and the bad of that having, and you've got a guy in front of you that's a rookie starting a very important position.
Yeah, there is good and bad. You have always your rookie mistakes, your learning curves, and that's just the nature of this game. But then also you have sometimes they play so fast that they might not, have any regard for their body and just go out there and play as hard as you possibly can. And the young guys always bring juice, because I think your veterans, they get into such a routine. Not that you get bored with it, but it becomes so normal to go through this routine, the ins and outs, so be detailed about it. You get excited on game days, but it's always fun to have new guys bring in new energy and to elevate that standard as well.
Baker, for week 1, is it more about what you guys do in this game than necessarily focusing on their game plan because they've had a lot of change? They haven't shown anything in the preseason. So is it, what's the main focus for the offense going into this against the Washington?
It's honestly pretty similar to every single week. Yeah, we have to game plan for these guys. You mentioned it. They haven't shown a lot of their stuff, what they're going to do. We can look back on what Dan Quinn's done in the past. We can do all that stuff, look at the personnel they have, try and get a good idea of it. But it always comes down to us executing. Whatever play we have, and then back to my job of getting us in the right position, whatever look I'm seeing, being able to adjust on that. It comes down to us executing our plays at the highest level, and that's week in, week out. And, yeah, you game plan your opponents. You understand who they are, who can ruin your game, where those guys are lined up at. But after that, it's adapting and reacting on the fly and being able to adjust on the sidelines.
As far as this defense, what have you seen at all three levels? They've got obviously Payne and Allen up front, two linebackers and Lubu and Wagner, and then it's pretty young secondary. But what have you seen from them that could present challenges to you guys?
Yeah, obviously high draft pick in Mikey at nickel. So he's a really athletic guy. I think he's a guy that can do a lot of things for him in the secondary. So we got to find out how they're going to use him. I played with Jeremy Chin as a safety, a guy that's very versatile, and something that I know they'll be able to move him around. He's a guy that can play safety, linebacker, move around all over the field. Frankie and Bobby, obviously Frankie's a high-energy guy. Doesn't have an off switch. High motor, great guy. He's going to compete his tail off. And then Bobby Wagner is a legend. So, I mean, he's a seasoned vet. He's seen every type of scheme. You can tell just his recognition of plays. People can talk about his age, but I'm pretty sure he led the league in tackles last year. So I don't think he's really lost a step. So, and then down their strongest point is the D-line, and it's been that way for a while. I know they lost Montez Sweat, but they replaced some guys, brought in some new pieces, and it starts with the interior guys, Payne and Allen, two really good players that have been with them for a while. And it's when you talk about basics of football, game planning, you always say it starts up front with the big guys, and this game is one of those matchups that it really does start up front. So we're looking forward to that and seeing how our guys handle it.
But there's only one season opener every year.
I'll get you after. Yeah, go ahead.
There's only one season opener every year. Obviously, there's so much built up 5 months of off-season training camp. What's it like for you when you walk out that tunnel for week 1?
Not to steal Coach Bull's line, but it's exciting because of all the prep work. You know, the long months waiting for it. You finally get into the game week. You get dialed in on what you want to attack, how you want to scheme it up. You prep all year, and then obviously week to week you prep all week just for that 60 minutes of game time. So you got to go out and you got to relax and have fun. Like you've prepared for this moment. Our guys are going to be ready by that time. So just have fun, enjoy that. But it's a really exciting moment that week 1 energy is always really special.
Do you still get butterflies?
No. Get a little ammonia packet and I'm ready to roll.
We've seen the improvements in the running game in training camp and also in the preseason, whether it's with you guys in that one drive or the 2s and the 3s in the preseason games. What is your level of confidence that this running game is really going to be even more potent, than
I'm extremely confident. Extremely confident in the guys we have doing it, and then obviously the new schemes, just the new stuff that they brought in. I think Coach Carberry's done a great job of detailing all that work up for him, and Brian Picucci in that room also is helping those guys out. And then Liam just brings that focus to it. He demands excellence on the tracks and everything that the backs are doing too. He's extremely critical on their footwork and whatnot, but that's what it takes to be a great running team. And so it's been good to see that it's transferred, like you mentioned, not just the first group when we were out there, but the second and third group is really, translating it from the practice field to the game field. So for us, I have a lot of confidence, and I'm expecting that, and I know the guys are too.
If the ground game, Baker, if the ground game takes a big step up this year, as you expect, how would that affect your efficiency as a passer and play action?
Yeah, every time the ground game's working, most of the time it means you got guys running open, more free in the play action game because safeties or somebody who's biting on the play action fake. If you're just more efficient on early downs, but with our guys that we have, I expect to be efficient no matter what our ground game looks like. We got 3 studs that we expect to go out there and start, and then the guys that are going to come in, there's not really a drop off. So I expect us to be extremely efficient as a whole offense.
The leader of those 3 studs is Mike Evans, and I know he played a big role in your success this past year. Just what's it meant for you to play with him, and what's it like too? And with this birth of this new season, there's more milestones that he's reaching. He's got the opportunity, for instance, this year to get 100 touchdown catches.
Yeah. You look at how consistent Mike has been. He's the definition of consistency. And when it comes down to it, all those accolades are great, and I think we want it more for him than he really does because he just wants to win, and that's the truth. He doesn't act any way behind the scene, any different way behind the scenes. He really just does want to win. So he'll get his touches, he'll get his yards. He's done it with pretty much everybody, so it won't stop now. And just with the added weapons we have and the new scheme, it should be a great thing for him.
One more question, please. Team talk about the camaraderie, the chemistry, and coming into this. This is one of the closest, tight-knit teams you've been a part. And how does that help maybe going against a team like the Commanders who have so many new parts where they're still gelling together, where you guys are just family at this point?
Yeah, this is the closest group I've ever been a part of, and that goes back to college days too. And that's pretty special and extremely rare, to be honest with you. But our guys, we have the group that's not going to take it for granted. You can't just expect everybody to go out there and, roll over on people. You got to be able to go out and execute, and we have the group that's that focused. We just expect that's the standard. And like I've mentioned before, the standard was already extremely high before I got here, and our vets do an unbelievable. I mean, can we lock it up, Nelson? I was on a roll right there. Rookie.
I mean, you could redo the whole bite.
No, I'm good on that one. But we have the group. I appreciate it. We have the group that understands what we have to do to attack it and go out and win. But the chemistry will take you a long way. Week 1, I wouldn't necessarily say it's the biggest difference. It's really when adversity hits down the road, when you see what the team's made of, like last year. So we expect to be a tight-knit group, and if a game's close, we expect to be coming out on top.
We also saw your dance moves yesterday morning. How did that whole
Oh, jeez.
yeah. How did the whole Manning cast
like,
thing
what?
come about? It looked great in it, though.
Yeah, they did that at Pro Bowl. Technology is a crazy thing because the only people I was there with were Gino and Puka, so you can really green screen some things. Talented people.
Thank you. Excellent. Thanks, baby.
You gonna find Nelson?